Hey everyone, this is Stan Gendlin with Real Estate Skills. In this video, we're going to be talking about the assignment of contract, or what is also known as wholesaling. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment what else you want to learn about, and check out the link in the description to get our free resource about assigning contracts. Before we get into this video, we have to say, laws and regulations in every city, county, and state can be different, so make sure you understand what the laws are in your area before you start assigning any contracts. So first, let's talk about what is an assignment of contract. In this situation, we're talking about putting a property under contract with a seller and assigning your rights to that contract to somebody else for a higher price or a set fee. An example of that would be you finding a seller who wants to sell a house for $100,000 and signing a purchase agreement with that person. You then would find someone else to buy the rights to your contract for either a set fee or a higher amount than your contract. You would go to the closing table and the buyer would buy the property the seller would sell, and you would make the difference in the middle. That is the general concept of what is an assignment of contract in real estate. So to generalize, how an assignment of contract works is you would find someone that wants to sell a home and agree to buy that property for them for a set price. You would sign a contract with that homeowner and give yourself a period of time to inspect the property and close on it. You then would turn around and look for someone that's interested in buying that property, and you would assign your rights to that contract to a potential interested buyer for either a set fee or a higher amount than your contract. You would then give both the original contract and your assignment of that contract to either a title and escrow company or a closing attorney, and then money would be exchanged at the closing table. The seller would get his money, the buyer would get his home, and you would get the difference in the two contracts. The assignment fee is the difference in the original contract that you signed with a seller and how much you agreed to sell your rights to that contract with a potential buyer. Or again, that could be a flat fee. So to clarify, what is an assignment fee? It's basically the difference in the contract price that you sign with a seller and the assignment of contract that you sign with a potential buyer. The difference between those two is your assignment fee. So let's talk about how you can assign a contract in real estate. You would use an assignment of contract form, which basically has a buyer signing to agree to take over all the rights of your original contract with a seller. So they would be responsible for the closing date, the purchase amount, the earnest money, the inspection period, and everything else in that original purchase contract with your seller. Another good way of doing an assignment of contract is making sure when you sign a contract with a seller, you can tell the seller, I'm not sure how I'm going to take title of this property, so as the purchaser, I would like to put my name and or assigns, making the assignment of contract perfectly legal. So now that you understand what is an assignment of contract and what the assignment fee is, let's talk about how to find a property to assign. Well, there's a lot of ways to find properties to assign. One of the easiest and cost-free methods is to go on the MLS and look for properties that are in distress, need a lot of work, or in some form of having to sell quickly. You can also go knocking on doors in neighborhoods where you think people might want to buy properties to renovate or rent. You can also send direct mail to people that might be interested in selling, and there's many ways of finding that information. So those are the top 3 things that I have done in the past to find motivated sellers to allow me to put their property under contract and assign it to a willing and able buyer. Now that you know where to find properties to possibly assign, it's time to submit an offer. You want to submit your offer that gives you enough room to assign your contract to a willing buyer so they can buy it and still make a nice profit. Once you've had your offer accepted, it's time to look for a buyer for that property. A buyer will look at the property and determine if that's a good deal for them. If it's a good deal for them, it's time to use the assignment of contract template. This will allow a buyer to take over all the rights of your original contract with the seller, and then they will be responsible for everything that you have agreed upon. They typically will ask you to review the original contract, which is totally okay. But pretty much we recommend that you black out your original contract price. There's no need for them to know what you have it under contract for. If they tell you they're willing to buy it for a certain price, it should be irrelevant what your contract price is with that original seller. Once they've signed that assignment of contract, they're now legally taking ownership of your original contract with that seller. You should submit both your purchase contract and your assignment of contract to either a closing attorney or an escrow and title company, depending on what state you live in. Once your closing agent receives all the relevant paperwork, they will move forward with the closing. We'll make sure that the seller brings all the paperwork needed and the keys to the house, and the buyer brings any paperwork they need to bring and the money to buy the property. Once everything is brought to the closing agent will exchange keys for cash. And after the closing is complete, the closing agent, whether an attorney or an escrow or title company, will either cut you a check or send you a wire for the difference, which is your assignment fee.
If you're enjoying what Stan's teaching, then be sure to download our resource for free. It's in the downloads, in the description. All you have to do is go below, click that link, and this is all about assignment contracts. You'll actually get our example of an assignment contract as well, so you can look at it with a professional and see if you can use it to be able to wholesale deals in your area. So click the link below, be sure to get it. Now back to Stan.
So let's talk about 3 pros of doing an assignment of contract. Number 1, you can get into real estate right away with no money out of pocket. No money, no problem, you've heard it before, and this is how you do it. Number 2, you get paid the day of closing. You don't have to worry about buying the property, renovating it, renting, refinancing, or selling, which can take months to years to do. You get paid the day of closing. And third, you can get into real estate investing today without spending any money on marketing. You can drive around and knock on doors on potential deals, call off the MLS, start building relationships with agents without having to spend any money on mail or any other marketing technique. So those are 3 great reasons for you to consider doing an assignment of contract. Now that you know the pros of doing an assignment of contract, let's go over some of the cons. Number 1, you could possibly be leaving a good amount or a lot of money on the table. If you possibly buy the property, fix it up, and sell it, you can make a lot more money. So you never know. With a wholesale, you get whatever you agree upon, and that's it. The next one is when you get your assignment fees, they count as part of your regular income. So there are no tax benefits, and you will just pay taxes on whatever income tax bracket that you fall in. And finally, number 3, a lot of times agents want to work directly with that end buyer. So if an agent that you're working with brings you a deal and they know you're assigning the deal, they might just go directly to your end buyer and bypass you and not bring you the next deal because they know this is the person that's buying it. So those are some of the cons to the assignment of contract. Now let's talk about some of the differences between an assignment of contract and having to go to the closing table and do a double closing, which means you actually have to own the property before you can resell it. So with an assignment of contract, you normally have no cost. The seller receives their money, the buyer pays all their fees, and you just get the difference in the middle. With a double closing, you actually have to own the property for a set period of time, and the rules and regulations of that vary by state, so you might end up paying 1 to 2% as a fee for having to do a double closing. Then some states give you no choice. Some states require that you do a double closing because they completely have outlawed assignment of contracts. So you will have to do a double closing, which means you have to pay more fees. And there are things that can go wrong in a double closing. You never know. You can't guarantee 100% that everything's going to go smoothly every time. So there are some downsides to having to double close, including those additional fees. Finally, double closing requires transactional funding, which means you still have to go out and get a loan, which is going to charge you a bunch of fees, reducing how much you make in your assignment. So this was a generalization of the assignment of contract process. We talked about how to find deals, how to put a property under contract, how to assign it to a buyer, and what to expect at the closing table. If you found this content helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and remember, check the link in the description for our free resource on the assignment of contract. And happy investing.